Welcome everyone, Gorilla Monsoon here at ringside with my colleague Jesse the Body Ventura as the World Wrestling Federation presents the wrestling extravaganza of all time, WrestleMania. Enjoy it, folks, and right now, let's go up to our ring announcer, Howard Finkel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WrestleMania.
Welcome in to another edition of the Retro Wrestling Rewind. As always, I am David Fine, alongside my tag team partner, the true Long Island IZ, the man who plays with dolls, but is kind of cool about it. The great Alex G.
Blow-up dolls, from what I understand.
Well, I mean, you are a collector of blow-up dolls. And
They got 3 holes.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. You know, it's, well, I would like to wish you a happy new year because, of course, last week you were on vacation again. We had the best interviews that we've done this past year, plus Dusty, and we had a new Jack and the Jim Cornette interview where he said, I don't need no white boy like you or these rednecks out here coming to me, telling me what you can do for me. I didn't know that New Jack had a college education and a criminal record, which is interesting to know. I don't know if he has a college education, but that's neither here nor there.
I think that's a quote from a rap song.
I'm sure it is. I actually had a buddy of mine who I work with at my shoot job. He was a wrestler, and he wrestled New Jack a couple times, and he said New Jack was a nice guy. It's kind of like Virgil. I think Virgil just living the fucking gimmick. He's probably not, in real life, he may have not been a total dick. But I think New Jack's kind of living the gimmick, and so
you didn't run into New Jack in the Georgia Indie Circuit back in the days.
Actually, I did. He is. I will have to tell you. Besides meeting Abdullah the Butcher, he is probably one of the scariest motherfuckers that I've ever. Nice guy, it was. Yeah, you don't want to cross paths with him. You do not want to, you don't want to go off script, as you say. You don't want to shoot with him in a match. You don't want to, hit him, for reals, because he will knife you. He will shank you. He has been in prison. So just saying. But yeah, Happy New Year. Of course, like I said last week, we had the best interviews of 2019 plus a couple others. But this week, we are starting out at number 1. No, we're not taking a number 1. We're not doing a number 1. We're talking about WrestleMania 1, Madison Square Garden. That's, of course, in your backyard. It's in the shadows of where we were last year at WrestleCon, which WrestleCon will be this year in Tampa. That will be interesting. I will not be attending. But speaking of...
I'm not even allowed in Tampa.
Yeah, you're... it was funny. A guy I used to work with who's a total jerk, who's used to be a director at the Weather Channel where I currently work. He used to call the people who live in Tampa the Tampons. So
that makes sense.
It does. But it's.
I'm headed to Orlando in April, though.
Yeah, Tampa's not really a place I want to go to, but the place I want to go to one day is, of course, back to New York City. Is Tokyo, Japan. I would love one of my bucket wrestling shows is Wrestle Kingdom. And what?
I've been trying to convince my wife for about 5 years to come with me to Japan. Unsuccessfully so far, but I think I'll wear her down eventually at some point.
You'll wear her down, or she just say go by yourself. But I mean, I
don't think she trusts me in another country by myself. To be completely
she
honest.
doesn't even trust you down the street.
It's also very true.
Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom. If you've not watched it, I know you haven't. As of this taping, it is a good fucking show. It is. It's kind of. I want to get your opinion. That the rumor and innuendo that people were throwing on the sheets and on the interwebs is that the WWE should do and take up what New Japan is doing. They've made Wrestle Kingdom, at least this past year, 2020, a 2-day event. Do you think WrestleMania, at least the one that we...
No, I've been saying that since we went to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That it might be in their best interest to go to 2 days because that show is so long. Now, every time I mention that, people look at me sideways. They call me stupid or whatever. But I think at some point... in the not so distant future, it's going to happen. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it gets longer and longer and longer. It's like I was like, holy crap! It's just like, I mean, I thought it was long watching it on the network, but being there, holy crap, that was just. I mean, speaking of that, we're talking WrestleMania 1. This WrestleMania was way shorter than any of the WrestleManias in recent time. It was celebrity filled. We had your favorite gay celebrity, Liberace. He was the timekeeper, and then we had Muhammad Ali. We had Pat Patterson as the inside referee for the main event with Mr. T, Petit de Fou. We had some great matches, and then we had some not so great matches.
Now, I've been on the record on numerous different shows saying
you've had a record. So.
That WrestleMania 1 is a below average WWF house show. And I still stand by that in terms of the wrestling in the ring. Now, other than that, it is a happening, to quote Gorilla Monsoon. It is a happening. This show, and I want people to, when they watch this particular show, is don't necessarily look at the wrestling in the ring, but to survey the environment. Take a look at the crowd. Take a look at some of the celebrities. There's nothing that encapsulates 1985 New York City more than this show. Look at the people in the front row, and then look at the celebrities. Now, we have Liberace again. He's here. Billy Martin, who was the manager of the New York Yankees, although I'm not sure if he was the manager at this time in 1985. But again, a big celebrity, probably only in New York. I don't think people in Georgia were that familiar with Billy Martin, other than the fact that he was the manager of the Yankees.
Yeah.
Off and on for several years. You have Muhammad Ali. Now, Muhammad Ali, this is not Muhammad Ali's first wrestling event. He's actually been in numerous different wrestling events, and obviously had that match with Antonio Inoki, that mixed martial arts, I guess you would call it, match. But he also made appearance for Mid-South and the Dome and the Superdome shows. And again, the Rockettes, again, very New York centric with the Rockettes. I don't know if your average person from Pittsburgh are not going to have an overall understanding of the Rockettes, although they were very popular in the 80s. Now they've gone down in popularity as of late as something to go to in New York City. But they're there, and that's really interesting and fun. Again, celebrity heavy. Again, it was what they wanted. And the celebrities is what drove the show, because it certainly wasn't the wrestling matches.
No, I mean, it was definitely not. I mean,
what sold this show was Mr. T getting in the ring and Cyndi Lauper. That's what sold this show. It wasn't the matches in the ring.
Yeah, I mean,
because none of these matches are attached to any kind of rivalry or feuds. I mean, other than Andre the Giant, Big John Studd. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it like we were talking about in the pre-show. The Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. He sings the Soviet national anthem. And people boo him, and then of course the Iron Sheik says, I run number one USA hop, and it just harks on kind of the stuff that's going on now with Iran and all that stuff. It's just I don't know. It's just kind of funny how the things that they did back in 1985 would probably not be politically correct now.
I think there's a national evolution. Again, the world has changed post 9/11. I don't think you can have kind of your good-natured, hilarious terrorists like we had in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why G.I. Joe doesn't work in a 2020 world. Yeah. Because Cobra was a international terrorist organization, and with real international terrorist organizations literally all surrounding us at this point, you can't make them funny. You know what I mean? Because there's real shit going on. Now, obviously, with Iran in the 80s, there was actually real shit going on as well. But again, we're a little bit more sensitive. The media has changed, and I think that personally, from a personal standpoint, there has to be some sort of evolution. You can't go back to doing the same shit over and over again. It doesn't work anymore. And I don't think the quote-unquote foreign menace heel works anymore.
No, it does not. I mean,
it's a difference between Piper. Now, Piper was from Scotland. Supposedly he's Canadian, but he's from Scotland. But he never used his heritage as a crutch for him being a heel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He
wasn't necessarily anti-USA. He was just pro-Roddy Piper.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, it was just like you said. It was a different time back then. I mean, was there anything that you took away, like from leading up to WrestleMania 1, I mean, the TV, I mean, was there anything that they're just, I mean, I didn't watch, I tried to watch some of the TV, but it was 1985. I mean, it's not, I mean, there's some stuff, there's stuff out there, but it's just so much to consume. I mean, did you think of anything that, leading up to WrestleMania 1 that, I mean, I love the inclusion of Cyndi Lauper, Captain Lou Albano. I mean, it was definitely an MTV generation. I mean, it was.
So there's a lot to unpack here, and
Uh-oh.
and anyone who watches this show needs to watch the Watercellar score and the Brawl, the End It All, because they tie into this show as well. And there's a couple episodes of TNT that you probably should watch, especially there's this vignette with Orndorff, Piper, and Orton training in a New York City gym. And they beat up an innocent bystander, which was a shoot. They just beat up someone on the street in New York City for no apparent reason, and they got it on tape. So they went with that. So, again, that's a crazy, crazy vignette. Again, this initially was supposed to be Orndorff, Piper, and Dr. D. David Schultz, but Dr. D. David Schultz was fired. And most people will say he got fired for the John Stossel incident. That would be incorrect. He was fired because he tried to shoot on Mr. T in an event in Los Angeles. So that's why he was fired. Didn't like Mr. T all that much. Neither did Piper. And that kind of heat, because it was authentic. Piper did not like Mr. T. Mr. T did not like Piper. Piper said some really outlandish and pseudo racist type things about Mr. T. So there was almost like a realistic real world heat between Piper and T, and not for nothing, Hulk Hogan being the sixth man in a 6-man feud here. Again, I think a lot of people may gloss over or don't remember that 1984 Hulk Hogan wasn't necessarily doing a whole lot in terms of rivalry feuds or angles. He was having title defenses, but he wasn't any kind of really big angles. He's doing some stuff with Dr. D. He was supposed to get a program with Jesse Ventura, but he got injured. He's having defenses against Tiger Chung Lee and Big John Studd. Again, not doing a whole much. Again, he's part-time in 84 because he's spending quite a bit of time in Japan as well as WWF champion. Again, that's what kept the WWF afloat, was the fact that Vince McMahon was getting money from New Japan Pro Wrestling to send Hulk Hogan and Andre Giant and a couple other wrestlers over. So he was getting a booking fee. And I believe it was upwards of $1 million. So the thing that kept them afloat during their expansion, because if anyone knows, expanding into a national promotion takes a lot of fucking money. And Vince was, quote unquote, cash poor at this time. So a lot of people will go through, it was him selling, World Championship Wrestling to Jim Crockett. That's what funded WrestleMania. That sale took place the week before WrestleMania. So unless they're paying these guys, I don't know how long $1 million transaction it takes to finalize in 1985. But if it's anything like 2020, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a couple of weeks for Vince to get that money. So I would say that $1 million played little or no parts of funding WrestleMania. Again, they were on closed circuits. They made over $1 million in closed circuits. It was on limited pay-per-view, which was important. And they actually sold at the Felt Forum, which is the theater at Madison Square Garden, as well. There's a couple of closed circuit locations that lost their feed, most notably Pittsburgh. They were able to get that show on NBC and NBC affiliates on free TV for the people of Pittsburgh, so they could watch it, because there's closed circuit failed. So kudos to the WWF making good on that.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that I went to a closed circuit event. I think it was from one of the Starcades.
They should bring that back. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like to go see a wrestling event with 3,000 wrestling fans at some sort of venue, or at a movie theater. That'd be fun. Someone should really look into bringing that back.
I'm actually going to be doing that in the New Year's, a new venture. Just want to pop that question. Yeah, it's, but no, I mean it was fun. I mean, because you go to an event everybody's watching it, but yeah, it would suck if it went down. You know, speaking of things that sucked, they started the event with your favorite wrestler and Jesse Ventura's favorite wrestler, Tito Santana, taking on the Executioner. And we were talking about in the pre-show that this probably would have been a better match if it hadn't been the Executioner, if it had been Buddy Rose.
Well, the Executioner just has to take off his mask because it wasn't Buddy Rose underneath the mask.
Yeah.
Not sure why they had him as the Executioner. Excuse me. I don't know if they had plans to bring in Buddy later and they didn't want him to lose to Tito in the opening match here. Again, it only goes 450. Curious, again, if this was a later WrestleMania, it probably would have been Greg Valentine versus Tito Santana because that's the actual feud that's going on right now. You know, Tito's come back from that injury, quote unquote. Greg Valentine breaks his leg. That was the whole thing. And they brought in Greg Valentine. I'll tell you a little bit about how important Greg Valentine was to the expansion era in WWF. He came in right after Starrcade 83. He's still doing a couple of shots over in Crockett. Again, he was United States champion, so he comes on over. And what they did, and I love this piece of business because it's fucking awesome. That Luis Rivera, right? Notable enhancement talent. But prior to Greg Valentine coming in, he has a little winning streak going on Championship Wrestling. So he's winning matches left and right, and looks like he looks like he's going to get a push. And then Greg Valentine comes in and debuts and fucking just squashes him and puts him out on a stretcher. It's a hell of a piece of business. So Greg Valentine, again, he'd been in main events before for the WWF with Backlund. So he's back now. And it wasn't too much longer. You know, he beats Santana for that IC belt, and he's IC champ.
Yeah, and he wrestles on this card against your favorite wrestler and Ric Flair's favorite wrestler, the Junk Food Dog. So it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this first match was, good. I mean, then
Tito's over. I mean, I think people look at Tito like 1988, 89, 90 Tito, like, oh, he's a mid-card wrestler. He's not great on promos. El Matador killed him. You got to realize in the early era of WWF, he was probably number 2, number 3, number 4 babyface under Hogan, maybe. And sometimes he would be number 2. Sometimes it depends on if Andre was in, he'd be number 3, and then if Snooker was in, he'd maybe be number 4. But Tito was up there, and he was very important for the WWE expansion. Again, he would cut his promos in not only English and Spanish. So when they were going to the Spanish-speaking markets, he would have promos ready for them in Spanish.
I mean, he was, yeah. I mean, that would,
which is important because a lot of these. You go into El Paso and some of these other areas that have a prominent Hispanic population. That was important for their national expansion.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I mean, he was multi-talented. I mean, he was a good wrestler. I mean, he wasn't my favorite, but he wasn't not my. He deserves better than being against the Executioner in the opening match of WrestleMania 1. But you know what it is. It is what it is. But the next match, I just don't understand this. Okay, it was
imagine seeing a squash match on WrestleMania nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking. Actually, I was texting with a buddy of mine who we were talking about WrestleMania 1, and he said he hasn't watched the whole WrestleMania 1, which I'm like, why not? It's actually a good show. He's like, imagine nowadays if they had a show like this, which a lot of the matches were not good. People would be complaining on the internet, but back then they didn't really have. There's no outlets to complain to, So it's like
I know people that were upset, and you would, if you go look at some of the Observer letters and you look at some of the letters in the magazines. Again, when you put this show up against some of the shows they've done before, would it be the Brawl to end it all, the War to settle the score? Those are better shows. Then you put this show against Starrcade 83, which was better. Starrcade 84 was better, and Starrcade 85, that was better shows overall. Even some of these world-class Star Wars shows, much better shows than this show. So again, when it comes from a wrestling perspective, like this show is not great comparing to other big shows at the time. And let's be honest, it wasn't the first one either. So a lot of people will get jacked up. They call it the granddaddy of it all. I'm like, Starrcade.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to say Showdown in Shea, you can say Showdown in Shea. If you want to last the you want to talk about Last Tango in Tampa, you want to talk about a lot of these other shows. The Supercard's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, it was funny how as Jesse Ventura kept on calling Gorilla Monsoon Gino Monsoon, he kept on. I mean, I'm not sure if the numbers here on that I've got had about 19,000 and change. He kept on pumping up the numbers. I mean, he was like, "Oh, this is like 23,000." I'm like,
yeah. I mean, that would happen constantly.
Yeah,
like the number would raise all through the show.
and I looked on the
more people coming.
I mean, I did my research on the internet that I'm not sure if it's. I mean, Madison Square Garden at that time couldn't even hold that many. I don't think. I mean, maybe if you squeezed them
now, I think it's because they made it bigger now.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's just like it's one of those things. It's like it was.
Because now you could fit like another 30 people in some of those skyboxes. So keep that in mind.
And now, of course, nowadays on the internet, people take pictures of half-empty crowds and report it. It's weird. I mean, it was a good show so far, but the next match we had.
The Garden had there's no production kills. Very little production kills too. Keep that in mind as well. There's no giant stage, there's no nothing, and so it's pretty raw. I mean, so the Garden holds around 20,000 people.
Yeah. I mean, next match we had King Kong Bundy taking on Special Delivery Jones. Oh my God! I mean, seriously, second
squash.
match.
He just didn't. I mean, they got rid of the cape, which was a positive. He's still with Jimmy Hart. He would move on to Bobby Heenan not too long after this. Again, this is to get Bundy over because they know they're going to put Bundy with Hogan at some point in the next year, which they do. So 23 seconds with the 5 count, Special Delivery Jones again. I kind of feel bad for ST Jones. I think everyone has a soft spot in their heart for ST Jones. He probably deserved better, 1,000%. But he's just doing jobs in New York at this point. That's basically his role here. The thing about Bundy. And it goes to a bigger issue that you notice with WWF in general across the board. It's what do you do with monster heels once they get beat? So what do you do with them? Like, so you say King Kong Bundy loses to Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 2, right? He teams with Big John Studd after that for a little while. And then he's doing comedy 6-man matches with Hillbilly Jim and Midgets on WrestleMania 3. And then he's gone. I think he leaves the early first part of '88, and then we don't see him again until like 1995. So what was Bundy doing from 1988 to 1995?
I mean, he made a couple of appearances on Married with Children. That's
right. He had a couple of TV appearances, did a couple of commercials. I'm sure he's doing indies, and he's probably one of the big indie guys in the birth of the indies. But WCW didn't have zero interest in Bundy. Like, seriously? Probably would have made a good opponent for Sting. Probably better than the Black Scorpion. That's all I'm saying.
I mean,
AWA couldn't use Bundy at this time.
I remember watching, Bundy on some of the earlier shows when he was, when he had hair. I mean, it was. I mean, he was a good wrestler back in the day. I mean,
I think Bundy has a bad reputation because he's someone who likes to complain a lot. It's part of his nature. He's a locker room lawyer. So he's the complainer. But again, there's a lot of wrestlers who are complainers that were in these big promotions between the years of 1988 and 1995. And I think WCW could use them. I think the AWA, who was starving for talent at the time, could have used them. Could have went to world class for a little bit. He could have made a shot in Memphis. What about Global? I think he does a shot or two for early ECW, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But Bundy's awesome, but it goes back to what do you do with monster heels once they get beat? Because the WWF has a track record with this. So the next monster heel that we see, I'm not counting Andre because he's the outlier. We look at Earthquake. Earthquake comes in with this big push, beats the shit out of the Ultimate Warrior, puts Hogan on the shelf. Doesn't necessarily get beat by Hogan because their blow-off match at Survivor Series 90 was a DQ. But after his run with Hogan is over, they put him in a tag team, and then they turn him babyface, and then he becomes the Shark in WCW. His decline was pretty steep because once he slayed the monster, all you have is this big fat dude. Yokozuna the same way. Yokozuna came in with a hella push, 2-time WWF champion. When his run is over, he does a tag team with Owen, and after that, they turn him babyface, and then he passes away. But monster heels don't have longevity in major promotions. They had longevity in territory. So if this was still territories, you go in for your 6 months, your 8 months, you're gone, you go to a different territory, you start all over again. But once these guys get used up on national TV, there's not much to do with them. Like look at a modern example of Braun Strowman. Like, what are they doing with this guy? This guy's huge and awesome. He's just kind of just there.
Yeah, I mean, he's just basically he's just a match filler. I mean, it's just
he's just another guy. And instead of they gave him this huge push as a monster, and then they didn't really follow up with it, and never really got the most out of him. I know he was in the doghouse a couple of times or whatever, but that guy is money. That guy is fucking money. Like those guys, like are different than like a Sid or a Kevin Nash because you can do different things with them after their run is over because they're not quote unquote monsters. Maybe Sid's a little bit more of a monster, but some of those guys are main event or bust, and it's sad to see like their decline because even Andre had a decline. I know he's the outlier, but even Hogan beats them, and then they have a 2-year run after that, and then he goes in the tag team with Haku, and they finally do turn a babyface at WrestleMania 6, but then he's so beat up that he can't do it anymore. So we never got that Earthquake Andre the Giant feud that we were supposed to. That would have been his last one.
Yeah, I mean that would have been.
91 WWF is fucking wild, by the way. Everyone should shut the fuck up, right, and just turn this off and just watch all the superstars from 1991. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, you should do that. That's a great marketing tool, folks.
Dude, if they stop and they come back, we get another fucking click. So.
Hey, well, yeah. I mean, speaking
Don't
of
be a doofus.
okay, we're gonna take a break for a second. Speaking of clicks, I mean, I admit I have been watching some more of your YouTube stuff over the break because I know you were on vacation from doing the shows, and I just thought I'd connect with you and watch and listen to some of your stuff. How would someone get to your YouTube channel or your Twitter page?
Well, you want to go to YouTube, right? You go in the little search bar, you type in Retro Wrestling Games Present. They'll all pop up, and there's like 360 videos right now. The next one that I'm currently working on is Showdown Legends of Wrestling for the Xbox, which is, I think, an underrated game. Glitchy as fuck, though, but underrated nonetheless. It's a really cool game. We do have a new NWA 1984 project coming out in the not-so-distant future. Those are rapidly coming to an end. I know I've been saying this for a while, but we got like 3 more shows to do, and that wraps up. So I'm excited and relieved. They're a lot of work. So we take a little hiatus from that, and then we're gonna do. It's gonna be a mini series though. It won't be as long. We're gonna do the AWA 1990 project, which I feel like I've been promoting for like 6 months.
Yeah,
you
have. I mean, I think maybe 7 months. But is that game as glitchy as the new WWF game?
Fucking nothing is glitchy as the new WWF game.
Have you played it?
I'm not. I don't own it. I'm gonna wait till it's $4, and then I'm gonna buy it, and then I'm not gonna update it at all. I'm gonna try not to run any of the update patches on it, and I'm gonna let it run raw because I want to see this fucking thing. Because now it's a curiosity. Like, is this bad? Is this game as bad as everyone thinks it is?
Yeah.
And I don't want them to fix it. I want to see how bad it really fucking was when it came out. So I might just wait until it's $4 and do that. I mean, I have to get it. It's part of my collection, good, bad, or indifferent.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, haven't the other WWF games been okay? I mean,
every year is different. It's funny that every year is different, but it's essentially the same game every year. But what had happened was that Ukes, who actually develops these games for 2K, were let go, and they took all their shit with them. So what 2K had to do was, I guess they built it off the WWE 2K17, maybe, I think it was 17, which that game is fucking not good, and try to build on top of that. Which was probably a bad move instead of just trying, because they have to get these out every year. They don't have enough time to come up with a new engine and start from scratch again to get the game out because they have to hit their schedules. So what we got here for this particular game was an unfinished, glitchy mess. From what people are saying. Again, I have not played it personally, so I will be the judge of that for myself. But yeah, I was going to get this game on clearance anyway, but when all the shit came pop off, I was like, I should get that pre-order because I could record all the crazy shit. because I don't want them to fix it. I'm gonna try to play it, and I gotta fucking turn off my internet so it doesn't auto fucking update because I won't play it fucked up.
Yeah, you don't hear that much on people playing video games. Normally, they would want it to not suck and fuck up, but you want to play it fucked up. So.
I do want to play it fucked up because I want to see if everyone was telling the truth or people were full of shit. You know, I want to see how it really fucking plays, and if the fucking shit goes fucking haywire, it goes haywire. Well, I want to check it out, man. You know, I'll probably eventually update it, but that's not a fair review. I mean, it's almost I would have to do 2 reviews. I would have to do like a day 1 review and then a review after all the patches hit. So, but that's that. I'm not reviewing that game until sometime in October or November of this year. So, you know, wow.
It's gonna be a minute.
Well, because I review last year's game not when it comes out, but when the next one comes out because it's not retro. It'll make no sense if I did it in real time. Like I'm not gonna review the current WWF game. It kind of goes against the title of the channel.
Yeah, and speaking of, you know, it's funny. Okay, so WWE has all this money. They have this big, you know, company behind them.
Yep.
But they put out shit.
It's not them. I don't think it's their fault. They just licensed the game.
Oh, okay.
They have no control. It's 2K that fucked this up. They have no control of the game.
Yeah, but
2K just pays them. Hey, I'm going to pay you this $3 million. We're going to put out a wrestling game, and WWE's like, okay, and they take the check and they make all the copyrights and all the shit fucking available to them. So
yeah, but
as much as I like to bitch at the WWE, I can't bitch at it. It's not their fault.
Yeah, but it's funny. Okay, so going back to video games, you know, our buddy over at WrestleMania Wrestling, they're coming out with the video game.
Yeah.
And you've played it, and it's
early beta stage. Yeah.
And it was really good. It's funny they're having a contest. I kind of want to pimp them. I was just talking to them today. They're having a Dream Division round, and they're having a bunch of independent wrestlers.
It's called Indie Mania.
Yeah,
so what they're doing, they can take a bunch of independent wrestlers who were nominated, and they're doing this tournament system, and I guess the winner of this tournament gets to be put in the game, which is a pretty cool concept.
I mean, see, it's people like that make wrestling games great again. I'm just saying. I mean, it hasn't even come out fully, and it's really good. I mean, it's. Well, we'll just have to see. I mean, I cannot wait. I cannot wait until you review it on your channel. It's
gonna happen.
It'll be interesting. I don't think there'll be any glitches like the new WWF game.
But no, I 100% expect a fully completed game.
It's gonna be great. Speaking of a little better match, I mean, it had at least one good wrestler. Ricky the Dragon. Oh, he was not the Dragon back then. Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Borne.
Maniac Matt Borne.
Your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, Ricky Steamboat, who beat the son of Tough Tony Borne, which is as much as character development we got from Matt Borne in this match. The future Doink the Clown, by the way. Again, I don't know why Matt's here. He's in from I'm assuming Portland, for no apparent reason. Doing a job here on a national TV audience to Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat's fresh in though. Again, he was just at Starrcade '84, so. He's freshed in. He was sick of Dusty's shit. Didn't want to be the third or fourth babyface underneath Dusty, so he's in the WWF fresh in again, along with Bret Hart and Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, who actually debuts on All American this weekend. Actually, this day, WrestleMania day, because they had an episode of All American, and they made their TV debut on that show. So you saw Matt Maxine. Bulldogs and I believe Bret Hart debut all around this time frame, along with Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat's the only one on the show, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Ricky Steamboat. I mean, I loved him in the NWA. I mean, he was great, but I mean, I think he hit a stride, in the WWF. I mean, his matches with Macho. When he doesn't not no show his fucking autograph signing, though, but that's all.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Still love you, Ricky, though, but god damn it. I wanted a picture of Ricky Steamboat. I didn't get it at WrestleCon, which I'm sad about.
I mean, hey, if you go to WrestleCon this year, there's going to be I mean, so many different
I
people.
might go to the big event if my wife lets me. It's the New York convention right here in Queens.
Right here. I mean, how long would it take you to get from the old island to Queens?
Well, not to be a geography dick, but Queens is on Long Island, so it's about 45 minutes.
Oh, I mean, fuck.
There's no bridge to go there. Same thing with Brooklyn. Brooklyn's on Long Island, so it's one big island, and there's the Long Island part, which is right outside of Queens, technically. It's not the borough. The boroughs end with Brooklyn and Queens, but technically we're all on the same island, so there's no bridges to go to, which is the bonus.
Hopefully you'll be able to go to the big events, and get some autographs.
I would like to. They got some pretty cool people from time to time. That's where I met Dusty. That's where I met a lot of cool people. Magnum was there one year. So one time Corey Graves was there. No one was at his. No one was getting his autograph. I felt bad for him, but then I found out he was a dick on Twitter. So and I don't feel bad for him.
It's kind of like we went to Access at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans.
Well, no one was at Joey Ryan's table, and it was sad. Yeah.
No.
That was pretty funny though. Huge line for Tessa Blanchard. No one for Joey Ryan.
I mean, are you surprised? I mean, okay.
Huge line for Enzo, which is shocking.
God, fucking Enzo, but
he had a fucking big line, bro.
Yeah, I
can't tell you about the people who were on that line. They have some, they have to look in themselves in the mirror there a little bit, to be completely honest. But he had a big fucking line.
Yeah, I mean, it was
like no one had the biggest line of the weekend. I think we talked about that was just Flair's.
Yeah,
because everyone thought he was gonna die.
Yeah,
so everyone needed to get Flair's autograph.
Yeah, I mean, there are people. I mean, that place, had a lot of people in it, and everybody was just lined up for Flair. I mean, they had so much shit to say. It's kind of sad. I mean, it's like, people here. I mean, we know you're going to get this autograph and go sell it on eBay.
Yeah, so. It depends. That's why I always get mine personalized.
Yeah.
They treat me a little bit better too.
You say, can you autograph it to Big Jackass? No, sorry.
Well, big jackhammer in my pants.
Whoa, that's the main event.
It's like two heads.
Oh,
imagine having a penis with two heads on it.
No.
I think you can. You ever seen those vibrators that have the little extra thing that's hanging off of it? I don't really know what that's for. I thought it was for the butthole, but I don't think that's the case.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I do not know what you're talking about.
Don't lie to me.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wink, wink. Speaking of Tessa Blanchard, she's going to be going up against Sami Callihan in the intergender match for the title, the Impact title. Do you think they're going to give her the title? And B, do you think it would be good for the business if she beats Sami Callihan and she's the world champion?
Yes, because it's Sami Callihan.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that, legitimately, I'm pretty sure that Tessa Blanchard could beat up Sami Callihan. So I have no beef there. Like, I would have beef. Like, it has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with, I hate to say this, but believability and suspending disbelief and what have you. It was like, if you take Tessa Blanchard and she beat Brock Lesnar, I wouldn't like it. But since it's Sami Callihan, it's okay.
I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, are you trying to say that Tessa is more of a badass than Sami Callihan?
Yes, 1,000%.
Are you trying to say that he is actually not? He is not like MJF, who I have heard lives the fucking gimmick 24 hours a day, 7 days. Speaking of MJF, kind of to get off the tangent.
MJF, there's no gimmick there. That's like him.
He is fucking good. I mean, the only thing I will this is,
he's not that, like, you can't act that way and not be that way.
Yeah, I mean, you said that.
You know what I mean?
You said that people that went to your high school and live in your area are like that.
Dude, I know 100 people just like him.
Yeah, it's
like if he's playing a character, give that motherfucker an Academy Award right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling. Yeah, he is a total asshole. But I mean, I mean, have you been watching any of the AEW shows?
Not really. I watched the first couple of weeks, and then I was like, this is kind of cheese, and it is. I'll probably get back into it at some point. to let everything kind of settle a little bit. Let them, kind of get where they need to go a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to end up hating wrestling, so what I do is I alter my viewing habits.
Yeah.
A little bit, just because I don't want to fucking throw a brick at my TV, and I
Yeah.
know I will. I don't want to be one of those guys that like hate watches professional wrestling, because I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, don't watch it. And the way it's going, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna like this, so I'm just gonna stop here for a minute, and we'll take a break, and I'll check in with them in a couple of months.
I mean, they're not bad. I mean, it's one of those things that since I'm in, TV for my normal job, I just see that the flaws that they have in their TV.
Well, that's Keith Mitchell. Everyone should know who Keith Mitchell is.
Yep.
If you don't know, look him up. He was the director for WCW, so that's why WCW could never get a camera shot. Also, he was the director for World Class.
And that's kind of I think that's kind of why that the whole look kind of reminds me in a bad way of Nitro.
Because they miss those camera shots all the fucking time.
Well, that I mean, and the thing that really pisses me off is like their audio. It's like they're doing introductions for the matches, and you can't hear Justin Roberts. It's like I'm kind of.
It should be competitive on that show. Let's be honest here for a minute.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not competitive. It should be competitive. That's all.
I mean, it should be David Fine, but that's neither here nor there. But if I
no, you don't give. If people watch you on TV, their eyes are going to get AIDS.
Whoa! What are you trying to say?
That your face give people AIDS?
You know what? That's mean. That's
true.
Mean. Oh, man, but no. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. But that's neither here nor there.
I thought you have an AIDS face.
Well, you have an AIDS. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about this. It's not that kind of podcast. We don't make fun of people. We don't talk about dick jokes, and we don't talk about erection pills and masturbation things.
You think those will actually work? To be honest,
they do.
You tried it?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I mean, not everybody can be as well endowed as some people from Long Island, huh?
It's because I'm Hispanic. We have high sex.
Hey, I don't see color. I don't see race. Everyone's equal to me. I'm just, except for Virgil. I fucking hate Virgil. I will hate that man until the day he dies. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and I hope he's listening to the podcast. And if you want to contact me, it is the Retro Wrestling Rewind at gmail.com and meat sauce. And that man.
Yeah, I went to Olive Garden like 2 days ago, and those fucking breadsticks are phenomenal. But you can't tell anyone on Long Island that you went to Olive Garden because they make fun of you.
Have you been to the world's largest Olive Garden?
Where's that?
Isn't that in Manhattan somewhere? I think that's. I mean, everything's big.
I
wouldn't
go to Manhattan to go to Olive Garden. That's kind of weird. It's like 10 minutes away from my house. It's like going to Manhattan to go to McDonald's. What are you doing?
I mean, well, you're probably going to pay a lot more for Olive
100%.
Garden in Manhattan than you will, and your spot on Long Island. So it's like
yeah, probably.
It's kind of like getting gas in Atlanta in the middle of the city. You're going to pay, $2 or $3 more than you would if you got it right next to the interstate. So I'm just saying, if you run out of gas and you need gas, you'll get it. And if you're really hungry, you'll eat in Midtown Manhattan and pay, $7 for a fucking Coke. But that's beside the point. Anyway, our next.
You weren't smart like me. I brought my own drinks with me. I'm home.
Well, yes, and yeah, but you're a lot smarter than me. So.
I know. I'm better looking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you know what? I suck and you don't. So that's.
Well,
I mean, the fan.
What we're sucking on here.
I mean, the fans on Twitter and even the fans
on Twitter.
You know what? Shut up. How many followers do you have on your Twitter account?
I can look.
No one cares.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me click on my face here. I am currently at. Oh wait! I pressed the wrong button. 5,833.
And are 5,000 of those bots?
I mean, I thought they were like Russian farms, but who knows?
I don't know. But, getting back to this phenomenal WrestleMania 1, the next match we had Brutus Beefcake with the
Not
great.
the barber.
No, he was not the barber yet.
He was
With
a gigolo still. It's weird.
with the
You ever
great.
seen that vignette? There's 2 of them. It's fucking weird.
I have to watch that. With the
So
great.
there's a vignette in Bruce Beefcake as a male stripper on WWF TV, like circa 1984. It's really, really weird. You should watch it.
Yeah, I mean he was with the great Johnny Valiant.
Johnny V.
Johnny venereal disease, taking on David Sammartino with the legend, Bruno Sammartino. Yeah, that's all I can say.
What do you do with David Sammartino? Obviously, his father overshadows him.
Yes.
Right? 1,000%. Number 2, he's not the best worker in the world. And his body type is exactly the same as Bruno. So what do you do with him? I think you just put him underneath the mask and let him get some experience.
Yeah, I mean, or
because he's green as fuck. Like, he spent some time in Georgia, but that's about it. What do you do with him though? Like, how does this work?
I mean,
how does he get over? Like, you have Hogan already, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, like, he's not Bruno. He looks like Bruno. Like, what do you do with him? Do you bring in Zbyszko to feud with him just to see what the fuck? Like, how do you get this kid over?
Like you said, you put him under a mask, and
you not call him David Sammartino? Do you call him like David Bruno or something like that? Like, what do you do with him?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's just
another thing. Like, he was this killer promo, and bell to bell, he was phenomenal. But he still needed to get experience, and he doesn't have any right here, and he's just gonna get fucking massacred.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking, Brutus Beefcake. I mean, how many, for everyone at the house, listening at home. I mean, were they in the process, or were they a long ways away from putting him and Greg Valentine together? I mean,
there's not too far, too long after this, because they're tag team champs at WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, so less than a year. I mean, what do you think as them as a tag team? I mean, they were really good.
They were good. I mean, they're a nice little package with Greg, Brutus, and Johnny Valiant. I'd be remiss to not talk about the promo on this show by Brutus Beefcake and Johnny V, where Johnny V just kicks it over to Brutus, and Brutus, I'm assuming, forgot his line, so he just does this. It's dead.
That's funny. That is funny. I mean,
But if anyone has any ideas for David Sammartino, please let us know on Twitter. How about that? How would you book this guy? 1985.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about this. I mean, Bruno. I mean, he gets in there and and
Bruno gets a hell of a reaction. I mean, Bruno's still over. Bruno was immensely over. Like, even when he has that feud with that mini feud with Piper.
Yeah, I mean,
that was really good.
I mean, he
good matches with Randy Savage, like, out of nowhere.
I mean, he could go pretty good for a man of his. I don't know how old he was back then. I mean, all I know is that I looked up Muhammad Ali and Pat Patterson were both 42 and 43 respectively back in 1985. So they are my current age. So it made me feel like I could go a couple more rounds. So just saying.
I mean, Pat Patterson can go a couple rounds if you want.
Yeah. First ever Intercontinental champion.
I can only imagine the WrestleMania after party with both Pat Patterson and Liberace, like, hanging out. Like, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, but okay, so Pat Patterson, was he out of the closet at the time?
He wasn't in the closet.
But he wasn't flamboyant like Liberace.
No.
I don't think there's anybody as flamboyant. I mean, he had the freaking little bell, like he had like a silver bell. I mean, it was like, holy shit. It's like, oof.
Liberace dresses like a 2020 mumble rapper. It's fucking awesome.
What?
A mumble? You know what a mumble rapper is?
No. What the fuck?
They're all from your neck of the woods. They ain't none of them from New York. That's for sure.
They're from Georgia?
A lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know you find this hard to believe, but I don't listen to much music or read.
My culture, that's why.
Well, my wife's friend asked me today, so what books do you read for fun? I'm like, nothing. I mean, I don't have the time to read for fun.
You don't even have like a backup book, like, just to lie about, that you know about?
No, I don't. You know,
Some shit up.
the,
Yeah.
the, the,
I
la-
just read. I read Great Expectations for the 5th time.
the last
other
book
day.
that I read, actual book I read,
It's a fucking porno mag. It's fucking biggins.
yeah, the last book I actually read
Yep.
was the great Mick Foley's book, Have a Nice Day.
Oh,
I read
this
that from front to back. I mean, it was a great book. But no, the two books that I actually have on the actually one book that I have on the audio book is the Justin Roberts book. So I get to listen to his dulcet tones talking about his career and about how I
Well, good wrestling books. I know a bunch of them. Death WCW, right?
yeah.
The Big Gold is a good book. With them talking about the Big Gold belt, that's a good book. Kayfabe by Sean Oliver, that's a good book. There's a bunch of them out there.
You have a lot of gosh. You know, speaking of books, you know, I had to take some books back for my son to the library today. I didn't know the fucking library even existed anymore. I mean, it's like there are a bunch of people there on their computers and looking at their microfiche. I mean, do you ever go to the library?
I mean, I have kids, so yeah, I kind of have to go. I think under any normal circumstances. You know what I used to do?
You used to go to the library to look at pornography, didn't you?
No. Check this out. Back in the day when I was converting my DVDs from DVD to digital on my computer, my library, you could rent DVDs for free. So I would go there and then burn them on my computer. And like I would come up with 5 DVDs like every couple of days and just do that until I got all basically their entire DVD collection. That's how I built my movie collection.
I mean, how many wrestling? How many hours of wrestling do you have uploaded to your computer, to your external storage drives? Maybe the Google Drive.
A lot.
I mean, weren't you trying at one point to build some kind of server or something?
I'm still doing it. It's gonna take a long time.
I mean, how long have you been trying to build that?
What month is it?
That's January.
About 6 months.
It's January. This is 2020.
Yeah, it's about 6 months. I've been playing around with it. Here's the thing: when it comes to Plex, I'm talking about Plex over here. The build the other stuff was easy because they will pull the information from the internet. So if you have like Knight Rider, it'll pull all the information for Knight Rider and it will set it up and it will put all the episodes in order. And it will have little clip art or whatever, little thumbnail art for it, and you'll be all good, right? Wrestling is different because that doesn't exist. So you got to build all that shit from scratch. So not only do you have to, you upload the file to the server, you have to put the match listings, run times, like all that information in by hand, and it's a very, very long process. Probably not even worth it, but I'm still going to do it because I'm insane.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, one day, folks, he will have his garage cleaned out, and he could maybe park a car in there, or I
wish I could park my car in there. That'd be fucking awesome.
I mean, it does.
I have a 2-car garage with no fucking cars in it. Can you believe that shit?
Why is it full of all your crap?
Yeah. No, I mean everyone's crap.
I mean,
the Christmas tree and our tables and chairs that we have. When we have parties, we have like 12 tables and like 30 chairs.
And speaking of tables, we're going back to the Wrestle Kingdom show that was this past weekend. It's a 2-day event. Man, there was a spot which I'm not gonna spoil it.
Okay.
The Japanese tables are totally different than the American tables. They are thin as as a Japanese person because
Wow, racist.
No, Japanese people are fit. They're slim. They're not
What
like
about sumos?
Well, I mean they're a different breed. They're not they're not as fat as people from Long Island.
Did you think that Yokozuna was Japanese?
No.
You thought you knew he was Samoan that whole time?
Yeah, and he.
I bought that shit. Can you believe that?
You know why?
I
Because
100%
you were.
thought Yokozuna was Japanese.
Well, I mean, you also thought Rowdy Piper was lived in Scotland, so I mean
he was Canadian.
Hey, I mean, speaking of Canadians, PCO, want to congratulate him. I know he's listening to the program. He is the Ring of Honor champion. That's just that man's just. He's building his career in one step at a time. Ring of Honor is actually in Atlanta this upcoming Saturday.
You going to center stage?
If I can get some free tickets, because the buddy I work with is directing
Fucking cheap motherfucker you are. Holy shit.
He is directing the episode that's going to be airing on television. So he's going to try to get me some comp tickets, and I might actually try to get PCO in the studio to do a one-on-one sit-down interview. That should be interesting. I mean, especially if my son answers the door when he rings the doorbell. That would be like, huh. Looks like a pirate because he's got the patch.
Yeah.
I mean, my son saw somebody, and they had a hat like a pirate, like a do rag and a patch, and he was like, "Oh, that guy's a pirate." I'm like, "You cannot say that because he may have lost an eye in, I don't know, some kind of accident." But
North Korea.
Oh well, I mean, North, South Korea, whatever. Next match we had. He was the current reigning and defending Intercontinental Champion, Greg Valentine, with Jimmy Hart taking on Ric Flair and your favorite professional wrestler, the Great Junkyard Dog.
Why not give JYD the belt here?
Would you have given him the belt?
Maybe. It's just a weird match for him to go over on the IC champion. Not even go over, but to go under the IC champion here, especially when he's fucking he's hot coming in. So it's like, oh, yeah, JYD wins by DQ. If I remember this match correctly, and I should, Greg Valentine gets the win with his feet on the ropes, and then Tito comes in and kicks the rope, and the ref restarts the match, and then Greg just leaves.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's it was I mean, it was a match. It was what it was. I mean,
like, all right, so let's look at the card here. In reality, it probably should have been JYD taking on the Execution and Tito and Valentine in the match here.
Yeah,
that's probably the way it probably should have went. If you're 2020 booking this.
I mean, and they should have put Junkyard Dog under a mask as well. So just.
Stagger Lee?
Yes, Stagger Lee versus the Executioner. I love that kind of shit back then. It's like, I mean, the Midnight Rider, Stagger Lee, Charlie Brown from Out of Town. It's like, I mean, it was like you said. It was the suspended belief that these people were actually, they were.
That's the joke. The joke was that the fans knew who it was.
Yes,
and you were outsmarting the heels.
Yes, it's kind of.
The machines are fucking awesome. It could be Giant Baba, fucking Jack Tunney. What a dick.
You're not a big fan of the former.
I do love Jack on the Take Tunney. I do. I wish that style of authority figure was still around in modern wrestling, which it's not, unfortunately.
No, it's
we need someone who's not going to be biased, not going to be babyface or heel, just a guy who has to make decisions. And the heel authority figure is so fucking played out in 2020. It was played out in fucking 2002.
Yeah,
and it's fucking awful, and everyone has it, and it's annoying.
Speaking of it, back on another tangent. Sorry, back to the Wrestle Kingdom show. The one of the matches had Jon Moxley in it. It was, God, I love Jon Moxley. Of course, Renee Young was there.
She in Japan?
She was in Japan for both
days.
They
showed her on tape?
Well, she was. They didn't show her on TV, but they, she was on Twitter, with a bunch of wrestlers and whatnot. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think the WWE doesn't give two shits, or does she just say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go over there and see my husband"?
I don't think they care because she's not in the ring. I think it was, in the ring, but they just did that shit with fucking Britt Baker on NXT not too long ago. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't think they care. I don't think it's an issue.
No, I mean, and
plus a lot of the announcers are available to take outside bookings, which is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know that, but it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, like
that's why they could do autograph signings and shit that they don't have to get through the office.
Yeah, I mean, like Jerry Lawler does that all the time. I mean, he wrestles all the time. I mean, and I think the thing with Britt Baker is, I mean, well, what are your thoughts on Britt Baker? I mean, she's
fine.
Yeah,
very acceptable. No, she's there.
Yeah, I mean, she's not bad. I mean, her Adam Cole baby, he's a lot, but he's just over. But that's that. Well, we'll talk about that.
Knew that was going to happen.
Huh?
So I knew that shit was going to happen.
What?
Adam Cole being over?
Yeah, I mean, he's just fucking awesome. I mean, I don't think if he comes to the main roster, I mean, I think he'll still be over. But I mean, there are a lot of guys that come from from NXT, that come from NXT and do not get over. I mean, You know, I mean, the
Or
Usos.
Sullivan, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Usos. Speaking of people coming back, another tangent. Usos are back. I hate the Usos. I mean, God,
Really?
there's
Was he a racist?
no. I
He hates
just,
Samoans.
huh?
You hate Samoans?
No, I hate people that fucking
Hate Rikishi's kids?
no, people that fuck up their career. I mean, one of the Usos, I'm not sure which one of them, keeps on going to jail for stupid shit. It's kind of like the Hardy Boys, Matt Hardy or Jeff. One of those Hardy
It's
people.
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy. I was always in jail for DUI. I mean, come on, folks. You have an opportunity of a lifetime that a lot of wrestlers would stab someone in the back for.
I think you're being very insensitive to addicts out there. If you can control it, I bet you he would.
I'm sure I am, and if people want to pipe up on Twitter, and
I think he just needs to go to rehab a bunch of times and get. You know what he needs to do? He needs to see your friend DDP.
yeah, I mean he does, and D. I mean, hey, he turned Jake the Snake Roberts' life around.
Although he likes to drink piss, but that's all another story for a different time.
That's beside the point. But I mean, it's weird, the WWE wellness policy. I mean, I don't know if
You think one day he's going to hire DDP instead?
yes. But it's funny how DDP's been appearing a lot on the AEW's on their, and he's been sparring with people. He can probably still go a couple rounds. I mean, I would mess with him. I mean, I did accidentally almost knock him over when I went to the DDP Yoga Performance Center the one time I did it, and that friggin' shit kicked my ass. And I was like, "Ooh, man, I'm not gonna do that anymore." But it does help, folks. Go to his website. Do all this stuff. It's not a commercial for it, but it does work. But next match we had the U.S. Express of Mike Rotundo, Barry Windham, with the great Captain Lou Albano taking on Iran's number one son, the Iron Sheik, and Nikolai Volkov with classy Freddie Blassie.
I told Blassie.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to be a dick about it, yes. But we were talking about it earlier. It's like the Iron Sheik, I mean, that motherfucker is over in 2020.
Everyone loves Sheiky, baby.
I mean, he is one of those guys that he lives the gimmick all the time as well. I mean, he
understands the simple fact that he's a cartoon character.
Yeah.
He gets it.
I mean, you remember, speaking of cartoon characters, remember the Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling?
I wish it would be back on WWE Network, but it's not.
Instead, they have Camp WWE.
Yeah, they had that show on there, and then Hulk Hogan said racist shit and took it down.
Oh, it was actually on the network?
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan said racist shit? Huh.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that. He would never say, oh, yeah.
He's from Tampa, so.
Yeah, he's a Tampan. But, I mean, what were your thoughts on the U.S. Express, Rotundo and Windham?
I like them. I wish they would have sticked around much longer, but, Barry Windham's got to be Barry Windham, so they're gone in 86, so.
Lou Albano. I mean, that man had rubber bands on his face. I mean,
he sure did.
That was weird.
It's Captain Lou. I saw like a promo from Lou Albano from the 60s, which was fantastic. Because he's like Captain Lou, being Captain Lou, but he's young and is actually wrestling. That's amazing.
I mean, it's kind of like watching Paul Ellering wrestling. Are you a big Paul Ellering fan when you wrestled? He was really good. I mean, he was. Yeah. I mean, he was a good manager, but I thought he was a even better wrestler. I mean, Sheiky baby and Nikolai Volkov. I mean, what were your thoughts on? I mean, the reaction to the fans when they won the tag titles was. I mean, they threw shit in the ring.
I'm surprised they gave him the belts here, to be completely honest.
Why?
I thought the U.S. Express probably would have went over here, just to give him like another feel-good moment here.
Yeah.
Just from a booking perspective. So I'm surprised that they did a title switch here, because if you look at it in 1985, it's like, oh, fucking Sheik and fucking Volkov, they're just a thrown together team because Volkov's a single and Sheik's a single, and now they're a team, and they weren't a team before. It was like they came in as a team. So it's like, oh, it's two fucking single guys becoming tag team champions, which is weird. Which I want to say, so they win the belts here, and then Who beat the British Bulldogs? Beat them, I think.
I don't know.
The U.S. Press regained. I forget the lineage here, but I'm pretty sure that Sheik and Volkov pulled the belts for quite a while. To be completely honest.
Yeah, I was a big fan of their of them as tag teams. I mean, as a tag team and as a champions. I mean, it's like
They were pretty good. I mean, I think once the Bulldogs and Hart start having those matches, though, I think it changes everything.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was definitely. I think they switched them because back in the day. I remember when the WWE tried. I think it was pre 9/11. They tried to do a terrorist angle or a terrorist gimmick, which of course went nowhere. Thank God.
So, but hold on one second. So Sheik and Volkov holds it for April, May, for 2 months. It felt longer for some reason. That's weird.
Yeah, but how many times did they win the tag titles?
Only that one time.
That's weird.
I feel like it was more. This might be a Mandela effect. So they lose it back to U.S. Express, and then the Dream Team beats them in August. So the U.S. Express wins it back in June, and then they lose the belt to Beefcake and Valentine in August of '84, and then they hold on to it to WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things that they switched it because they had the U.S. Express. They were a United States team representing the USA. Then they had Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik. Representing Iran and the Soviet Union, USSR. I just think it was kind of a political thing. Like, hey, the bad guys, the people who hate us, they won the belts. So it's one of those things. But I could be wrong.
Stuff calmed down by '85. I felt like that's more of a 1980, 81, 82 deal.
Maybe. And now, I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember my.
You don't know geography
my dates
or
on my geopolitics in 1985.
Yeah. No. Next match, we had Andre the Giant, Big John Studd in a slam versus
$15,000 slam match.
Yeah, and if Andre does not slam Big John Studd, he has to retire.
He's retired.
And if he slams Big John Studd, he wins $15,000. Bobby the Brain Heenan's with Big John Studd. Andre. At this time, do you think he was kind of on a decline, or you think he was still?
He's okay.
Two big men who can't fucking.
When does he have that ankle injury? So I think that's when the noticeable decline really goes. The one with Killer Khan. Is that at some time around this time period, if not a little bit before. But once he has that injury,
yeah,
it's downhill at that point.
Yeah,
sure.
And you put him and Big John Studd. Two big guys.
It's not going to be good, but it's not going to be good.
No, it's just like the only thing good about this was Bobby the Brain Heenan.
So the Killer Khan angle was in '81.
So he was on a decline.
He's on his decline right now.
Yeah, God. Oh man, Andre was a legend. Big John Studd, was Big John Studd. So it's like, there's not much. Anything else you want to talk about on this match? There wasn't.
I like the nuance of fucking Andre throwing the money at the crowd and Bobby Heenan running in and stealing the money back.
And leaving that was.
Which is it's a great fucking piece of business right there.
That was funny, but
sure.
Yeah. The semi-main was for the WWF Women's Title. Wendy Richter taking on Leilani Kai. Of course, Leilani Kai was the champion. She was with the Fabulous Moolah, and Wendy Richter was with Cyndi Lauper. And Cyndi Lauper's manager, I forgot the fuck his name.
David Wolf.
Yes, David Wolf. What are your thoughts on this? Leilani Kai. It was funny. I was watching.
Who else are you gonna put in there in 1985?
Bull Nakano.
Leilani wins the belt.
Bull Nakano.
She's around, but
she is around. She is around, but. Oh, she's around. Oh, okay.
She was doing fucking matches WWF '85 though. Yeah, 85, 86.
It was funny. I was watching.
But it wasn't like Bull Nakano like we would know her today.
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching this, watching WrestleMania 1, and the wife chimed in on this match, and she just started laughing with the Wendy Richter and Cyndi Lauper and Leilani Kai. She's like, what in the hell are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching WrestleMania 1, the grandest wrestling event that will never, according to Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, ever be duplicated.
Until WrestleMania 2.
Yes, and 3 and 4 and up to whatever the hell we're up to now, 35, 36, one of those numbers, 40, I don't know. Whatever the hell number we are in Tampa coming up this year. It'll be fun. But, yeah, I mean, this match... I mean, are you glad that Wendy Richter won? I mean, was it?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's going to be like another big moment for this show. You have Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper. Lauper, I guess her and Mr. T are responsible for the pop in business here. I would highly credit Cyndi Lauper on the fact that the WWE got on MTV to begin with, which is really important for their national expansion. So I think Lauper, she's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. She needs to be, legitimately, because her contributions are huge here and trying to get the WWF over mainstream audiences. And she was a huge star at the time. She continued to be a huge star. But at the time, this is probably at her highest peak, 1985, 84. And the feud between her and Piper, which is the initial feud that transitions over to Piper and Mr. T, because Mr. T's, gets in and Piper's face because he gets physical with Cyndi Lauper. The Piper T gets beat down. And that's when Hogan comes in. So again, like I always say, Hulk Hogan's the sixth man in the six-man feud here. Very much an afterthought of this whole thing. But again, those feuds kind of intertwine because Roddy Piper is very anti-rock and roll. He did the whole thing where he broke the guitar, and MTV's Music to Vomit By, and all the stuff in his promos, again, was initiated by Cyndi Lauper, which is, again, was also the impetus for Captain Lou to turn babyface as well. So you have everything happening around the WWF at this time, and in the middle of all this is Cyndi Lauper. And she's kind of the straw that serves the drink here a little bit, because everything's coming off her. Like all the angles for this show and for the foreseeable future for the WWF is coming, kind of just coming off this Cyndi Lauper thing. And again, she's one of the big reasons why, there was always lots of celebrities in the WWF going to the Madison Square Garden, right? We know that, right? That's well documented. But I think for Cyndi Lauper to appear on camera was, now it's okay for Danny DeVito to appear on camera, and Andy Warhol, and Joe Piscopo, and some of the New York City quote-unquote celebrities appearing on WWF television. And I think her contribution is super important in everything that they're doing. And Wendy Richter was white hot. She initially comes in as a heel, too. And she had been Cowboy Wendy Richter, like in Mid-South. And, I think in terms of women wrestlers at the time, she was probably the best looking in terms of traditional looks, in terms of her appearance overall. Although I always had a thing for Velvet McIntyre myself, but Wendy Richter is 1985's hot for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
and she cut a decent promo, and she was a good worker in the ring, so definitely deserves to be in our top spot here. And you can make an argument that a lot of the promotional stuff for 1984 was revolving around both Hulk Hogan, Wendy Richter, and Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, I mean, she was.
And Wendy Richter wasn't long for this world because she would get screwed, I believe, later on this year. So.
And as always, not in a good way. So.
No, in the original screw job.
Yep, the old original screw job. I mean, it was a good match.
It's a fun match. I mean, they're working hard, they're bumping hard. It's a good match. Leilani, good worker here. I prefer in the Glamour Girls because they work like the Road Warriors. But watch a Glamour Girl match again, by the way. They work like the Road Warriors. Like, they're just killing people out there, throwing power bombs out like they're nothing. Like 1987. It's ridiculous.
I mean, you're also a big Jumping Bomb Angels fan, aren't you?
I am. They had good matches with them too. Good chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It's like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's, I don't know. Yes, I don't know.
They didn't even change the belt. I think the belt's still basically the same one that they had for a while. I mean, they got rid of the one with Moolah's picture on it, which is weird, but it wouldn't be the belt that we would. It's weird with their whole women's division over time was. we got the Wendy Richter era, and then we have like the Rock and Robin Sherry era for a little bit, and then we have the Alundra Blaze era there for a second until they really go full time with it in the late '90s. But yeah, the women's division has always been like, 2 girls, maybe a third one. That's the entire division.
Yeah, it is 1985 WWE or WWF. So,
Well, it's 1985 wrestling in general because it wasn't like the girls were working full time anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
Glow and Pow, they're not they're not something that's out at this time. So it's like LPWA is not around. Again, these girls are just, they're treated very much like the midgets. So they're like, they'll come in for a couple of shots and then they're gone again. They don't really work full time anywhere. And this is probably the most work they had in the WWE in a while.
Yeah,
because that WWF Women's Championship is the NWA World Women's Championship. They just renamed it once they brought Moolah in. And I'm like 95% sure that Moolah is Vince McMahon's mom. So
you're going to stick with that, aren't you?
I'm going to stick with that conspiracy theory, and I want people to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I don't know how we're gonna prove it, but it's.
Because how old was she when Vince was born? What year was Vince born?
I don't know.
Let's see. This is why we have Wikipedia. Let's see. Vince McMahon was born in compelling fucking radio right now.
Oh, it's people. Our numbers are just, shooting through the roof. People are just clicking.
He was born in 1945. That motherfucker's old as fuck. 1945, and Moolah, his mother, was born in 1923. So that lines up.
Yeah,
I think that lines up pretty good.
I think you're onto something. You're kind of like a Geraldo.
He's from South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Vince McMahon lived in South Carolina.
Coincidence?
I don't think so.
Nope. You are onto it. So. You're like Geraldo Rivera. You're just.
I need to get David Bix's ban on this. We'll figure it out.
Yes, the old Bix. Big fan. But speaking of big fans and big matches, the main event, the one that we've been waiting for, Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, with Jimmy, I like to kill my girlfriend Snuka, taking on Paul, Mr. Wonderful Orndorff, Roddy Piper, and Bob Orton. With Bob
Ace
Orton.
Bob Orton.
Sorry. Ace Bob Orton. Your thoughts on this
Pat
match?
Patterson in this match again. Pat Patterson tells a story that originally Muhammad Ali was just supposed to be the guest referee by himself, but they realized that something wasn't right with Ali. I guess it's like the first kind of inclination that he's going to have Parkinson's at this point because Ali was kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
So they kept him on the outside, and they just had him do Ali's type stuff with Patterson on the inside. They do mention that Pat Patterson was a former WWF Intercontinental champion. So
do you also think? It was. I think even if he wasn't, on the decline, Muhammad Ali, that having a former professional wrestler inside the ring would just be a lot. That would make the match.
It's a lot of things going on here. So I don't think I would do a special guest referee and have Mr. T in there.
Yeah.
Because Mr. T is going to need as much direction as humanly possible. So I would have had a more, a competent full-time referee in there just to help T.
Yeah.
Instead of having a special guest referee. But Pat Patterson being, I guess you would call him one of the bookers here with I think George Scott is still around at this point. Maybe not.
I think he was. I think in the credits at the end of, if you watch the
says George Scott?
Yep, it does.
So Pat Patterson's part of the brain trust here, for sure. So having him in the ring to help direct T is probably your best bet anyways, even if Ali wasn't showing signs of Parkinson's at this point. Again, surprising that a 6-man match with Jimmy Snuka and Bob Orton getting involved. I believe that they chose not to do that due to Jimmy Snuka being Jimmy Snuka and all his incidents. Again, Jimmy is not long for this world either. He'd be gone not too long after this. So he would go on to, I guess, Japan and AWA before he's making his return at WrestleMania 5. Again, the post-mortem on this match, for some reason they felt the need to turn Mr. Wonderful babyface, which I always thought was weird because there's nothing in Paul Orndorff's personality, promos, or look that says babyface to me.
No.
But I bet you they had it in their mind, like, oh, we're gonna turn him babyface to turn him heel on Hogan, which he's the first person to turn heel on Hogan, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, and you having him as a babyface, could you imagine just in the wildest dreams, an MJF as a babyface?
No, it doesn't work. It's like having Ricky Steamboat as a heel.
Yeah,
Like, that shit doesn't work.
Or Tito Santana as a heel.
Right, it just doesn't work, and I
It's
don't know.
not believable.
I don't know if they had in their head that they were going to turn him this early in the game. But it was always weird that, like, oh, he has beef with Piper, and then Bobby Heenan, who I guess had been managing but hasn't been managing him this entire time, puts a bounty on his head. I don't even know why fucking Bobby Heenan's mad. That never made any sense. So, like, this whole Orndorff thing, again, it would lead to a big piece of business in 1986, the biggest ever. But again, the initial turn here was kind of out of left field, and the Bobby Heenan stuff was kind of out of left field too. I think Mr. T, in terms of performance in the ring, I think he did okay. He didn't do too bad. I mean, I know these guys were working hard to make him look good, and I think he looked pretty good. And Hogan, when does Hogan have that knee injury? Because he's still pretty quick here.
Yeah,
I think it's 84 when he has that really bad knee injury. Because he changes his style. There's a big difference between, like, 1984 Hulk Hogan and, like, 1987 Hulk Hogan. Like, there's a big, in terms of not even this, him not being lazy in the ring. His work rate's a lot better. He's actually, like, super fast, and he's doing really cool stuff. Until you get to 87, where he starts doing, like, your generic Hogan matches. But still here in 85, I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
as an overall worker.
Yeah, I mean,
exciting. At the very least, fucking exciting as all fuck.
Yeah, I mean, Hogan was great. I mean, I remember I've been on this rabbit hole with him, watching him when he was in Georgia, and I mean, as Sterling Golden, it's like
St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, he was good. I mean, he's like anybody. He's, of course, he's one of those guys who will never retire.
You understand that schedule he was on too, bro. It's like he's like working 300 days a year. He's not a small guy. He's not Ricky Steamboat. He's legitimately 6'7". They build him at 6'8". He's right around 300 pounds. Like, that's a big man working hard every night. So he's going to wear down. He's going to wear out, and he's going to be injured. Like, that's going to happen. So he has to change his style. He's not Flair. And even Flair had his kind of like A, B, or C matches too. So it's like, he's working hard.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a toll.
To kind of wrap it up, I mean, what was your...
Well, there's two things I want to bring up before we wrap it up. Number one, it was Hulk Hogan's appearance and Mr. T's appearance on Saturday Night Live this weekend. Rumor has it that they were supposed to have a big star come in for Saturday Night Live, but they canceled, so they were able to bring in Hogan and Mr. T, and I thought that they were a pretty decent job at hosting Saturday Night Live that particular weekend, that Saturday, obviously. In addition to that, Gene Okerlund sings the national anthem. Now, apparently there's supposed to be a big star who was supposed to sing the national anthem, but they wouldn't get out of their limo or whatever, so Gene had to sing it. But if you have Cyndi Lauper there, why can't Cyndi fucking sing it?
Yeah, and who is this?
No one knows. I mean, I guess Gene knew, but he didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I would have had Cyndi Lauper sing it, but
Cyndi. I mean, I don't know if she can.
Or Liberace. I mean, I don't know.
Liberace would just do a piano version of it or something.
Yeah, I mean,
but Gene did it okay. He was like, "Oh, let's sing together, everybody."
He's like, "Yep, I can sing, but let's get everyone." Yeah, so I mean,
he did Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo too. So
yeah, I mean, he can sing. I mean, it's he's another one of the legends.
If they had Michael P.S. Hayes still in, he could have sung it.
Because you know why?
He's not a rock star.
Yes, he is. He is a fucking rock and. I mean, he is the greatest of all time. He will tell you that while wearing his fanny pack in 2020. Who the fuck? Yeah, you're an idiot. I told somebody, I said, the only people that wear fanny packs are wrestlers.
First of all, if you wear sweatpants and you're going out, and like if you have like formal sweatpants that you use to go out to cool places with, you have to wear a fanny pack because all the shit's gonna fall out your pocket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you have that, and if you have like your phone and your keys and whatnot, your pants are gonna fall off.
Yeah. So like, hey, you gotta have your pain pills, your cell phone, and and maybe like $10 in there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think actually, surprisingly enough, I think fanny packs are back in. They're like designer fanny packs. I've seen some, hot looking chicks, women.
No, you're supposed to wear those like on your butt, right? Like they're supposed to be the other way, right?
Hence the name
Or
fanny
wears them
packs.
yeah, hence the name.
They're
fanny
not
pack.
dick. They're not dick packs.
No,
They're fanny
everyone
packs.
wears it wrong for some reason.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's like, huh. I mean, it's weird, but it's like the only people that I see that wear beepers are doctors and drug dealers, and the only people that I see wearing fanny packs are professional wrestlers. So.
I had a beeper. Mine was ice blue, like it was see through, but it was blue.
Who the hell would want to contact you?
I don't know. You had to go to the cell phone. You had to go to the payphone. Remember that? Remember payphone? There's still one 7-Eleven around here.
Well, the only payphones that I've seen recently, we did a trip down, imagine this, to Disney World. They have payphones at Disney World, which is weird, but that's the only place. That and maybe like the airport. They have a. I think they had one at LaGuardia. They had a payphone somewhere, but I'm not a big fan of LaGuardia. So just.
Did you go to Star Wars Land in Disney?
I was not open when we went last. So.
Okay.
But we'll be going back soon, and
I'll be there. I'll be there in April. You can't come with me. This would be weird.
Yeah, that would. Hey, you should. You're driving from New York, right?
Fuck no. I mean, I did suggest that to my wife because we're looking at some of these. Because we're going spring break.
Yeah.
And that shit's fucking expensive.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost us upwards of about $1,500.
You should drive down halfway, come to Georgia.
No, I'm not going to your house.
Come to Georgia. We could tape a in-person
You're
episode.
gonna put stuff in my butt.
No, I did that in New York, but that's beside the point. But
I know. I don't want you to do it again.
Hey, I don't judge.
I have to wear a chastity belt and shit.
Well, and
I was pooping fingernails for like 2 weeks.
It was weird. I haven't been the same since that trip, but overall, what would you give this rating of WrestleMania 1, the grandest show that will never, ever, ever be duplicated into WrestleMania 2?
It depends because it's a show that you have to watch because it's WrestleMania 1. Like you have to watch it at least once. After that one time, there's probably no reason to watch the show ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I probably won't watch. This is probably the second or third time I watched it. I probably won't watch it again. I mean, it
doesn't have any repeat viewing value here.
No. No,
there's no big angles. I mean, there's no in terms of the mid card. There's no big angles or feuds in the main event. Obviously, there are, but God, Lord Alfred Hayes was awful on that show. He was probably the worst.
I mean, like he was just like awkwardly standing at the
right. He was just like a deer in fucking headlights.
I mean, he was talking blah blah blah, and then you see the wrestlers. It was just weird.
They walk by, yeah.
They're like, I mean, Lord Alfred Hayes. I mean, were you a fan of his?
I am. He just wasn't good on this show.
No, he was not. But I mean, I'd probably give it up like a 6.
That's probably around a 5 or 6.
Yeah, no. But you know the show that you are going to fucking love. It's the show that we're going to be covering next week. I pulled it out of the old hat. You know what we're going to be covering? Drum roll, please. Hey, Mr. Board Op, can you please put in a drum roll? Thank you very much. In Your House, number 1. Yeah, that's right, folks. Another shit show. In Your House,
Is this
number
Diesel
1.
and Sid?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean,
That's good. It only has 3 matches on it. So
I mean, what were your thoughts on? I mean, hey, if it's only got 3 matches on,
1995 WWF. What do you think I think of it? It's gonna be fucking a shit show.
And we're gonna have a good time shitting on it, aren't we?
Oh, I don't like 1995 WWF at all.
That's why we're covering it, because you know what? I know that you fucking love it, and it's just gonna be a total beatdown of the WWF product in 1995 and In Your House number 1. I mean, I think I remember one of the In Your Houses, they gave away a house, like a legitimate house. And,
it was the first one.
Yeah, and I took my wife at the time, my fiance,
You took her to fucking In Your House, and she's still with you?
Yeah, In Your House. It was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And one of the matches had Undertaker versus somebody. I don't know who it was. They wrestled outside the building. Of course, you couldn't see anything because you know what? They didn't have a fucking camera out there. Or they
Here's the matches for this show, by the way. Bret Hart versus Hakushi. Razor Ramon versus Jeff Jarrett and the Road Dogg.
Double J.
Mabel versus Adam Bomb. Yokozuna and Owen Hart versus the Smoking Guns. Jerry Lawler versus Bret Hart and Diesel versus Psycho Sid.
I mean, folks, you thought
Oh, there's a hell of a fucking British Bulldog Owen Hart match that was dark on this show.
I mean,
15-minute draw too.
I mean, folks, if you thought that WrestleMania 1 was an awesome show,
We had to talk about Sinja.
yeah, In Your House, the first In Your House pay-per-view from 1995. It's going to be a fucking shit show. But we'll be reviewing that next week. So, for the great Alex G, as always, I am David Fine. We will talk to you next week where we cover In Your House #1, folks. And as always, we'll talk to you in the past.